Welcome to Gutter Trash, episode 366, Tetris, the games people play, by Box Brown. My name is Eric.
I'm Jason.
Howdy.
What's up?
Nothing.
Yeah?
Yep.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Alright. That's a good thing.
Kinda.
Sometimes.
Yeah. After the last couple months I've had, it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing up here.
Oh, today's been a good day. Like a good chill day.
Yeah. It's been alright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did some comic shopping.
Yeah?
That's fun. That's always fun.
I love comic shopping.
Yeah. I don't like the actual paying for it part of it, but, like the act of doing it up till that point is pretty great.
That's why you have to weigh that what you're shopping for is worth the pain that's going to come with purchasing it.
Right. I will say this, I went to a store here that is not your store, where they have they used to have a very big basement full of just dollar books. Now they only have about half of this at that size of dollar books, but I got there and I was the only person there, and about 5 minutes later, like a guy, came in and he started looking through books, and no, it's not bad.
Okay.
At one point, I kind of went near him, and he had a pile sitting on top of a long box. And he was like, "Oh, do you need me to move these?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine." Yeah, it's I was just looking around. I was still trying to figure out what exactly I was looking for when my, the goal that I went there for, it didn't exist.
Quickly dashed.
Yeah, so I was just browsing for the most part. So this guy was, both of us just minding our own business. But like I said, he came in about 5-10 minutes after I had already been there for a while. And he left long before I did. But just before he did, the owner or manager or whatever of the store, came downstairs and, talked directly to that guy. He was like, "Hey, did you find everything you're looking for?" He was like, Yeah. He's like, I'm kind of counting what I got. And, again, these are dollar books. And, he's like, yeah, I think I got about 99. And, the guy was like, "Oh, do you want me to get you a box so you can carry?" He's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." And then, guy came back down with a box, he put them all in, and he left. $99. He was only there for 20 minutes.
Wow. I wonder what he got. Did you see what he grabbed?
No. He grabbed...
So I said at the beginning because I thought you were going to say he grabbed all the Captain Victory.
No. Yeah, that's what I was looking for, but they didn't have any at all. No, because the way the room is set up is, it's got, there's it's sort of alphabetical, there's A through Z, normally, and then there's a couple rows where they have them split up by, characters or, popular franchises. So, it goes A through Z, and then, Batman, Conan,
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Sure. That makes sense.
Right. And then they have a section of, stuff that they just recently got in, and it's all completely unorganized. The guy looked only through those.
Oh, wow. So maybe he was just looking for new stock for his store.
Maybe. Could be. I don't know. Yeah.
Curious.
Very curious.
I need to go back there. It's been a long time since I've seen their dollar stuff.
They've got some good stuff.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of stuff that I've already been through multiple times.
Right. I'm looking forward to, there's a show at the end of the month that I always usually find some good cheap reads.
Yeah. So I was debating whether I wanted to actually go to that or not, but I'll probably wind up going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Comics. It's a problem.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before we started. I said something about, if comics had never existed, what would we be doing with our lives? Because Like we read comics, we review them, we draw them. Like pretty much 80% of our lives revolve around comics.
Yeah.
And what would it be? Figure skating, or what would we be into?
Drugs.
Drugs, yeah.
Drugs and crime.
Yeah. Wow, they've saved us. That would be a strange world.
Yeah. I guess I probably would actually just read regular books.
I would too, but yeah, like we'd read regular books and we'd like go visit art museums. Like, if only somehow we could like mix these words and pictures in a glorious art form, but that's never gonna happen. That would be bad.
Yeah.
Let's not imagine that scary world.
No, I don't like it.
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like a Twilight Zone episode.
It really is.
Like I said, I think I would just be milling around feeling like something's missing, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it.
Right.
It's terrible.
This is. Alright.
But this world does have comics.
It does.
Like the ones by Mr. Box Brown.
Indeed. Yeah. So this is our second Box Brown comic that we've read.
It is, yeah.
Previously he did the, Andre the Giant book. I don't remember if it had a different title other than just Andre the Giant.
I think it was Andre, yeah.
Okay. But then, we found out that he was doing a book about the invention of Tetris. And, that is a cross-section of things that I have great interest in.
Right?
Yeah.
Wrestling and Tetris?
No, comics and Tetris.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. So comics about Tetris.
Right?
Right? But by a guy who wrote something that I enjoyed a lot. About a subject that I honestly could have given a fuck about.
About the wrestling?
Yeah.
The wrestler. I definitely grew up into wrestling, and I also grew up into Tetris, so I think this Box Brown guy might be onto something.
Right?
He might be tapping into my childhood, except for his newest book is actually about Andy Kaufman.
Okay.
Which, sure, he was good, but he was no Tetris.
Your mileage may vary.
Say what?
I said your mileage may vary.
Right. Yeah, I like, Andy Kaufman, but
I think Andy Kaufman's fascinating.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the show Taxi.
Yeah, right?
That is pretty much it for me and Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not as interested in reading a book about Andy Kaufman,
right.
but Box Brown is a good enough comic storyteller that maybe I will check it out.
That said, there was a movie about Andy Kaufman, and now currently a documentary on Netflix about Andy Kaufman. I feel like that's territory that's pretty well trod at this point.
Yeah, right.
But, hey, you do you, Box Brown.
But I know Andy Kaufman had a lot of overlap with the world of wrestling and with Box Brown's interest in wrestling. Maybe he focuses more on that. I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows indeed. But this is about Tetris.
This is, yes. Did you used to play Tetris when you were a kid?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Spoilers for the book. I got a Game Boy, which came with a copy of Tetris.
Yeah.
How old were
Game Boy was like late 80s? Is that right? So we'd have been like 12-ish, 11, something like that.
Somewhere in there, yeah. Like, I'm trying to remember when I got my Nintendo, and I would say that was probably 90? 89, 90?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I would have had to have gotten a Game Boy, like, at least a year after that.
Okay. So. I never had a Game Boy, so I didn't know that it came with Tetris until I read this book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And also me just spoiling it for you.
Yeah. Well, luckily I had actually read this book.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't happen.
One time out of 366 episodes, I didn't read the fucking book. But it was not my fault. It was Brian Polito's fault. He made one of the shittiest comics I've ever read. Or never read.
Yeah.
However you want to look at it.
Yeah, no. Tetris came with the Game Boy. And it's fucking addictive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so how did you have Tetris?
We had it on NES.
Okay.
And I played it at the arcade, too.
Okay.
But mostly NES, yeah.
So that's, to me, something that I find weird. Like, I'm sure I saw Tetris at an arcade, but, like, it would never occur to me to play Tetris at an arcade.
Right. There's, like, the next one over is, like, monsters climbing buildings, knocking them down, or, like, and one of the other side's guys with machine guns, and, like, girls in, like, skimpy clothing kickboxing you, and...
Right.
And then the one in the middle is, like, rectangles falling from the sky.
Right. And again, like, I love Tetris, but, you know, yeah, like, I just could not imagine going to, like, you know, at least when we were kids,
yeah.
You know, crowded arcades, like, full of noise, and just, yeah, playing this puzzle game.
Yeah. It does seem weird. I mean, it seems like it's, you know, it's probably, I mean, obviously, we know the story because this goes into it, but I'd say the target audience isn't, like, trying to, you know, to latch on to kids because they do want just the loudest, most explosive, shiny thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
Not always, but.
Yeah, no, yeah, like, you know, I was super in love with Tetris, and I think, like, even to the point, like, I had other Game Boy games, but, like, Tetris was always the one that, like, I kept. And, like, even to the point where, like, you know, my Game Boy just stopped working, you know, like, I was always trying to play Tetris every once in a while, you know, at least.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the only format in which I ever played Tetris.
Really? On Game Boy?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then, like, whenever, like, I would occasionally, like, you know, when I got a PlayStation and then now I have a PS3, you know, I'm thinking, I should find Tetris for this or whatever. Like, on my lunch breaks at work, like, I think I downloaded, like, a Tetris kind of thing to play, you know? And
apparently had many knockoffs.
yes. So, I actually have one of those on my PlayStation. My current PS3. That I bought for like $3 from the PlayStation Store. You know, and it is a knockoff. It is called Tetraminos. I mean, it's the same. It's the blocks. They're falling. You position them, etc. But like the background, like screen is like a construction site.
Oh, weird.
And it's got like weird smooth jazz as the music, which is actually to me the most offensive part of it.
Yeah.
Because while reading this book, like, I had the Tetris theme running through my head the entire time.
Did you listen to it on YouTube while you read?
I did not.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the knockoff Tetris that I have for my PlayStation, does not have that theme music, and that to me is like the worst part of it.
Right.
And I wish there was an official Tetris that I could download or play or whatever. And I'm sure there is probably for the phone now.
I know there is because, spoiler, this book re-inspired me to download and play Tetris for the first time in like 15 years.
Right.
So it is on my phone and I've been playing it on my phone.
Nice. Is it classic Tetris?
Okay, it's perfect other than, yeah, I mean, it's everything I remember other than it does this thing where when a piece appears at the top and it's about to start dropping, like all the way, like completely down at the bottom of the screen directly under that piece is a like grayed out shadow that shows where it's going to land.
Okay.
And anytime you move it, it shows that shadow.
Yeah.
I don't remember it doing that, but if it did do it, I forgot that it used to do that, but it bothers me because like I see this piece like already in place like on my landscape.
Okay.
And like, I'm like, oh, I can't move it there. And then I start moving my piece. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's not the piece. That was the shadow of the piece that's fallen. And like, it keeps doing that to me. And I'm like, I wish it didn't have the shadow.
Okay, so my knockoff version has that as well.
Okay.
I find it super useful.
Really?
Yeah.
You like the shadow?
I do. I like being able to see like how it's going to fit rather than just thinking it, because I also have bad vision.
Okay.
And that's a thing that always got me on the old gray, Game Boy Tetris, was that like I would think I'm lining it up,
but
somewhere.
It would be one off.
Yeah.
I've had that happen before, but to me that was one of the potholes in the game.
Sure.
Like I like that. And it confuses me more than it helps me, I think.
Did you have to pay for the app?
I did not.
Oh.
But there are ads, though.
Okay.
But it just shows an ad before you start playing.
Okay.
So it's not
not in the middle of
No.
Because I've got a couple of games on my phone that, like, there's always, like, a banner ad.
Oh, that would have been,
fucking obnoxious.
Yeah. I think you can pay, like, $1 and get a Tetris that's
I would totally pay a lot for Tetris.
Yeah. I think it might be $2 or whatever, but I was like, this one's free, and that's fun.
Because, like, I decided that I wanted to play Tetris, like, while reading this book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been playing, like, the last couple of days. And, so.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, super is.
Yeah.
and that's part of what this book is about.
Yeah.
It's about sort of what it taps into the human brain that makes it so fun and so addictive and so widely accepted.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they point out in the book, too, he points out in the book that, like, when it came out, like, even people who normally didn't give a shit about video games, like, were suddenly, like, obsessed with playing Tetris.
Yeah, like he said, I think he even said, like, his grandmother was really into Tetris when he was a kid.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this book, and she was like, I got a Game Boy, like, one year for Christmas, and then my mom took it from me and wouldn't stop playing it for, like, 6 months.
Yeah, it is a special kind of game, because, I'm, like, as you know, I'm not much of a gamer. I used to play a lot of video games when I was younger, but the last 20 years, I could probably count the number of hours on one hand that I've played video games.
Right.
And most of it has been Tetris, because it's like one of the only games I go back to and like enjoy.
Yeah. So that's an angle that's talked about in this book,
Mm-hmm.
just that aspect of it, but also about the because I would say, I mean, this isn't really broken up into chapters, but like the first couple pages are seemingly about just the human experience with games and puzzles,
which is interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, because he kind of talks about how in olden times there was the competitors who were really serious and just wanted to compete, and they had to for survival.
Right.
And there was the players who were, basically children who liked to play.
Right.
And he said it was artists who kind of bridged those two perspectives together to have playful competition to make games. And he kind of talks about how games are an art form, which I never really thought of it that way, but I didn't actively think games weren't art.
Right.
I just thought games were, games and puzzles. But, I mean, I guess there definitely is an art to, clearly there's an art to, like, designing characters for a game, but I mean, as far as just designing a game is an art,
I definitely think that's entirely valid, and it's not something I think you think about much, but it's definitely something that I never would contest.
Right. Yeah.
Because there are definitely people in the world who, look at a video game and say, well, that's not art, because it's a video game.
Right.
And just fucking people play video games.
Yeah.
Dumb people and children. Right. But
Frogger ain't no Starry Night.
Right, yeah. But no, probably more work went into Frogger than, Van Gogh did with the Starry Night.
Right? Yeah, Van Gogh just had a bunch of wine. He was like, oh.
Yep.
spilled some circles of paint.
So what I'm saying is the creator of Frogger, better than Van Gogh.
That's the only lesson you can take away from this episode.
Yep.
But if you
When we get done here tonight, I am burning my Starry Night poster.
But you're gonna keep the original because you've got the original in the other room.
Yeah. But I'm framing my copy of Frogger.
You're gonna take that original Starry Night out of its frame and put your Atari 2600 Frogger cartridge in there. It's funny because when I downloaded Tetris, the same Play Store was like, you might also like Frogger and Donkey Kong. I was like, well, yeah, I will. And so I downloaded Frogger and Donkey Kong too. Or Donkey Kong 1, just, also. And then I played, a game of Frogger, and I was like, oh, yeah, it sucks. I forgot. And then, so, I deleted that one after, a minute of owning it.
Yeah.
I think it was really cool with the arcade, because the graphics were kind of neat.
Right.
But, the actual game is just pretty terrible.
Yeah, I was never a fan of Frogger. Yeah.
Waiting for the right logs to pass in orders, just shoot.
And, played Donkey Kong fairly recently because our sister store, the Game Swap, has a pretty big arcade.
Yeah.
For what it is, and
I've played their Donkey Kong.
They have Donkey Kong, and I am terrible at it.
Yeah, I'm really bad at it too.
Yeah. And also thanks to Box Brown, I now know what Donkey Kong really means.
I know, right? It's was it Gorilla Crime or something?
You're thinking of Gorilla Grodd. No, it's a Stubborn Gorilla.
Stubborn Gorilla, yeah. Yeah, I liked his pitch. He was like, it's about a carpenter who owns a gorilla, and his gorilla escapes and steals his girlfriend, and this
That was so much more backstory than I ever knew about Donkey Kong.
Right? I've been playing that game for 35 years, and I didn't know that.
I didn't know it was Mario's gorilla.
I didn't know he owned that. Yeah, I thought it was just I thought this gorilla snatched his lady.
Right?
It's his own fucking gorilla. How Freudian. What does the hammer and the barrels represent? I wonder. His balls?
Yeah.
His cock and balls?
Uh-huh. Yep.
GameSwap also has a Tetris machine that's been out of order for I think all but the first 30 seconds it's had an out of order sticker on it.
Right.
And I've always been have you never fixed the Tetris machine? It's no, not yet.
Slackers.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I would play Tetris in a stand-up arcade.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
To me, Tetris is, sitting in a recliner, quiet,
It's I have a few minutes before I have to do this thing.
Right,
yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely be playing mine next time I get an oil change or something.
Yeah.
Forget taking my sketchbook and, having some sort of productivity.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh, with my phone, I use it as a sketchbook, but, I put Tetris on there and fucking forget that I ever have a pen in it there. Right? But yeah, so this book, so it details basically the invention and marketing of Tetris, as a thing, and just sort of the drama of, how it came to be and how it came to be a cultural phenomenon that's, in our hands now.
It's a much crazier story than I ever would have guessed.
I'm gonna spoil the book, and you're gonna think it's weird that, I'm gonna give a spoiler warning, because it's just a book about a game that was invented.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there's twists and turns, and there are throughout, the negotiating of trying to get it out there. But, halfway through, I was just I kinda feel like I see where this is going, and I was somebody's getting fucked.
Yeah.
By the end of this, somebody is just royally screwed.
Right.
And the person that I thought it was going to be kinda doesn't.
Right.
Does. He's kind of fucked.
Right.
But still winds up okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. But in fact, like, the person that doesn't wind up okay is not the person I thought would have been involved in much of this.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which does make this really interesting. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It gets dark.
yeah, it gets super dark. Yeah. You're like, yay, it's a fun Tetris book with suicide and horrible negotiations and terrible things.
I mean, it is kind of one of those things though, like learning about. Alright. So, I think we both can agree the one downside about this book is the many foreign names.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters, and they all have, at least, like, he does a good thing where it's not really chapter breaks, but, like, between scenes, he usually has a black page with a couple,
key
profiles,
characters,
right? And, like, here, this is a character that's going to be prominent.
Right.
And so, like, often I found myself flipping back 10 or 12 pages to, like, familiarize myself with the name and face of someone who's in a scene I'm reading.
Right. But lots of Russian names, lots of Japanese names.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like 2 American names that were pretty memorable.
Right.
Like Robert Stein and Hank Reynolds or something like that. But so Alexey Pajitnov is the inventor of Tetris.
Yeah, and it still has his name on, like, I looked on the one I downloaded for my phone, it still has his name on there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Like, he is, like, the key figure to all this because he invented the game. Yet most of the story he plays sort of a secondary role.
Yeah, he's kind of in the background.
Yeah. And like as the story progresses and just how out of the loop he winds up being kept from everything, like it almost is comical in a sense.
It is. It's surreal because, so yeah, it's like a scene will start and Alexei is like, oh, I got this message from this guy, and then, like, you know, the ball starts rolling, momentum starts going, the scene starts building, and, you know, like it flashes over to the United States or to Japan or something, and there's all this craziness happens, and then you don't notice, but like 30 pages later, it goes back to Alexei, and he's just like smoking a cigarette outside of the science academy where he works, and you're like, oh yeah, he's not been around for any of this.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He just got a letter about it, like 30 pages ago. And then, like, it's all this crazy shit is just happening because of the game he invented, and he's, like, not even privy to most of it because, you know, this is the 80s. It's not like he's being texted information or anything.
And also, he lives in communist Russia.
Yeah.
Which, you know, basically the government controlled many aspects of his life.
Oh, yeah.
And he was only allowed, you know, knowledge or just certain aspects of everything that was happening, which is crazy when you think about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a foreign concept to me that he made this game just to entertain himself and his coworkers.
Right.
And it wasn't even, like, something that entered his mind that he could sell this because, his country would have taken possession of it to sell it or, you know, because he couldn't profit from it or something.
Right.
But, yeah, so his motivation was 100% just, he wanted to entertain himself and his friends and coworkers.
And this is one of those things where, like, had he been American, this would have ended up him being fucked and, like, homeless and unemployed by the end of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Probably.
And just bitter and angry. But it's weird, but because of, like, all the restrictions that he basically had placed on him just for living where he was living at the time, like, he almost comes out of this whole thing, like, with the most positive attitude.
Right.
Because every aspect of it is just like, I would never have thought that this would happen.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because, like, the entire thing was just like,
this is a game for everybody. It's not mine to own and sell.
But just like, you know, like the government, like, basically keeping him, you know, separated from, like, every business aspect of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's all shrouded in these mysterious legal meetings inside their government buildings where Alexey's not invited to.
Right. And so, like, he just sort of comes out of it as, like, okay. It's like, I just wanted people to play my game.
Right. So you're saying communism works?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It like doesn't make you a money-hungry consumerist whore?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I mean, certainly there probably was, right? And, I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Something.
I don't
maybe.
know. It's so weird.
It's hard for us who, like, we grew up, especially when we grew up, was in, like, the height of commercialism in America. Like,
Right.
the 80s was all about...
Oh, it still is.
Yeah, but I mean, that's when it was, like, everything was so gaudy and ridiculous and
It still is.
manufactured.
It still is.
But it was, like, basically, from a very early age, like, that's what we saw, and, like, that's how
Right.
the world worked to us. So, like, thinking about his perspective is so alien to, what we are familiar with.
Right. And also for us, like, when we were kids, Russia and commies were, like, the boogeyman.
Yeah, exactly.
And so... And hell, they might be now. Who knows, but...
I'm more scared about people inside of our own country.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You should be. Yeah. Yeah, that was a poor subject to touch on real quick. But no, like when we were growing up, like that was the thing. Like every bad guy in every action movie was like, Russian or a commie.
Sure, yeah.
And, like even up into the 90s, like that was still a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so, for me, at least, looking at this book, like, with that perspective, and just saying that these are just people.
Yeah. Right.
Who just, I don't know how unfortunate the circumstances of their existence were, but, I mean, Alexey had a job.
Yeah.
He had a house.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, sort of a fluke that he, just happened to create this thing that took over the fucking world.
Oh, yeah. It was like this mysterious puzzle game that everyone was just enamored with, and we kind of talked about it earlier. They go into the science behind it is he says, I guess it's basically like a task-oriented and reward-oriented, mindset where you're constantly presented with a problem, which is a new piece of this puzzle, and then when you put it into place, the stress of having this problem is immediately gone, and then there's immediately a new task, and it's like this constant like pleasure reward thing where you're like, oh no, here's a problem, oh sweet, I fixed it, oh no, here's a problem,
right.
Which basically is how my life works every day anyway. but I see how that is like an ingenious simplicity,
right.
To base your game on, because you're constantly, and like by constantly I mean like every fucking 2 seconds or whatever, you're presented with a new problem and a new reward, or I guess you're not always rewarded if you place that thing in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I hate it when you're like off by one or whatever.
Yeah. But usually there's a way that it all works out. Like it just takes a little while longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is such a simple game. Like, it's ridiculous. And that it's still so engrossing and engaging, is definitely a testament to Alexey's, genius.
Oh, yeah. And he said he kind of based it on, an old, like, it was an old Russian game or an old...
Yeah. It's, just a puzzle,
puzzle game. I forget what it was called.
I think it was, something Aminos.
Petrominos, or I forget. I'll kind of look for it, but
like his original name for Tetris was Tetraminos.
Tetraminos, yeah.
Which is the name of the knockoff that I have on my PS3. And it was like the original version of the puzzle game had 5 squares, Tetris has 4.
Right.
And that's how everything is organized. But yeah, that's apparently tetraminos means 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4, or Tetris 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, so he talks about how, like, where were we going with that? I'm sorry, I got kind of lost. I was flipping through the book trying to find the name of it, and I can't find it.
Knows? We're dumb.
Yeah.
But the book also goes into sort of the history of Nintendo as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which, of course, is a major player in the story. And Atari. They don't go so much into the Atari stuff, but
Pentaminos, yeah.
Or Pentaminos.
Pentaminos, possibly.
Yeah. Is the original puzzle game. Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of interesting information, and while some of it is hard to keep up with and remember every aspect of it, again, because 90% of the characters within the story are all, from Russia or Japan.
Yeah, so there's a lot of unfamiliar names.
Right.
It is compelling, though.
Oh, it's very compelling.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a super quick read.
Mm-hmm. It's over 200 pages, but yeah, it's a really quick read.
And it's fascinating. And like I said, I seriously, halfway through, I was just like, oh man, poor Alexey, he is, just gonna get screwed in the worst way. And, he basically winds up, he never really gets paid.
For Tetris, right?
Tetris.
Yeah.
Everybody else makes millions off of it, and he doesn't really see any of that, but he still winds up okay.
And he seems cool with that. Which is, I mean, he's not, glad that they're making all this money off his game.
No, yeah, he makes jokes about, well, hey, it would have been nice to have gotten paid.
Yeah.
But it's not, a bitter...
But he's
just not presented as a bitter thing.
Right, not at all. He's just stoked that people are playing this game he made.
Right.
And people love it, and they're entertained by it. Can you imagine?
I can't. I literally cannot imagine what it's like just to create, a piece of art, for us, to create a piece of art just for the joy of it. We do.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But, we both also produce things that we try to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, anyway, there's, an aspect of it where, man, I really want that thing to sell, and I really want to make the money off of that thing that I made. And, 90 people can look at it and tell me that, oh, hey, that looks great, and walk away. Right. I'm fucking pissed when that happens. Right? I could not just shrug that off and say, well, at least I made that thing.
Right.
I can't do that. I cannot be Alexey.
I try, and sometimes I succeed at that. I mean, I've never made any... I've definitely profited off some of my artwork, but I've never, made bank off of anything I've made.
Right.
But it is exciting just to think that people have read it, or seen it, or enjoy it, or whatever.
Right.
That, to me, is cool, and, that's enough to keep me making artwork. If I knew I wasn't gonna make any money on any comic I ever produced, I'd still make them.
Right.
But, it is nice to sustain that by getting some income back and at least be able to, pay for your time,
Sure.
But when you see something like this,
well, you hooked up with the wrong comic publisher.
I am making so much money over at Bioware and Sparkle. I can't even keep track of all of it. It's just it's in every pocket. When I get home from work, I have to clean out all 8 pockets, just wads of cash from all the royalties. But, no, I think a lot of artists are like that. They're gonna make art whether they're making money on it or not.
Yeah.
But it is a good incentive to at least know that people are appreciating it enough to pay for it.
Yeah. I still make art. Every day I draw something.
If you call it art.
If you, by the loosest terms possible, consider that it might be art. I still do it every single day.
Which is admirable. Super admirable. I don't do it every day.
But,
Sometimes masturbating just gets in the way.
No, that happens too. I mean, sometimes you just gotta take a break and use the other hand.
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to balance out my carpal tunnel.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It all.
But, I cannot, if I make something that, I am intending to, sell or give to people for people to read or enjoy or whatever, I can't just say that I'm doing it for the joy of people experiencing it, like the way that Alexey seems to for Tetris. And that, to me, is just the most foreign concept in this entire story, is being able to just appreciate people enjoying your work.
Yeah.
No, I need more than that.
So, even if, you did a graphic novel and you put it in the local library and you somehow saw, people check it out all the fucking time.
Right.
That wouldn't do it?
No.
Wow, okay. That would do it for me. I'm not saying, I'm better than you. I'm just saying, I know that would make me super stoked.
No, yeah, this is why I'm not a good person. I'm fully aware of this.
I don't think that makes you not a good person. It's maybe,
I mean, it's part of the reason why I'm not a good person.
It maybe signifies, changing your perspective on artwork, so, I don't know.
I think for part of me, I'd be more okay with not making money on a thing if I got lots of praise for a thing.
I thought you were going to say lots of pussy. I thought that's what you were going to say.
That would also work fine. Praise or pussy.
Oh, jeez.
Ass, gas, or grass. No one writes for free.
Oh my gosh. That's what Jack Kirby had on his drawing board. And Stan Lee certainly gave him some ass. He shit all over him.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go there.
Yeah, Stan Lee has been in the hospital right now, right?
Oh my god, I'm sorry, Stan.
No, I don't give a shit.
Hope he's playing Tetris. On his phone.
He's probably just harassing some nurses.
That's right. Yeah, apparently he's a little curmudgeonly, creepy old man.
Yep. Not
surprised.
Yeah. Anyway. Hey, Box Brown, do a comic about Stan Lee.
That'd be interesting.
That would be super interesting.
Yeah, it was very informative and surprisingly entertaining.
Yeah.
And it goes into, I honestly thought it was just going to be here's the story of Tetris, but it goes into so much more, the history of gaming and
right.
the motivations of gamers, and, there's, whole sections that have absolutely nothing to do with Tetris.
Right. And, I mean, there are whole sections of this book that are devoted entirely to business negotiations.
I know, right?
Which is, when you hear that or find out about that, that's not something that's ooh, this is a must-have, Yeah. And he still is able to make it, really entertaining and interesting.
Yeah, visually, cause you'll see, people in the meeting, and you'll, see their thoughts, or it'll be, their thoughts are not words, they're, cogs and
right.
things happening, and, yeah, he does all that. He handles it really well, because you can tell, I can tell, especially after having read Andre the Giant and this, that he's really interested in doing things where he meticulously researches things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know because I've only done one project like that, and it's super tempting to think you have to put every piece of information that you find.
Right.
Because you're I found this thing, I have to put that in too, even though it's going to add another, whole section of the story.
Right.
And he does that in such a way where it feels he didn't edit himself terribly, because, it's a pretty, all-encompassing story, but it's not exhausting.
Right.
So he does it he handles it very well.
And I'm sure there's stuff he left out, that
right.
Or doesn't further the narrative or push it along, but I'm sure I can only imagine that a shit ton more weird, interesting things happen.
Right.
But
He just couldn't go into it without
Right,
spending another 40 pages.
right. Or maybe even legally.
Right, yeah, it's possible.
Like, we don't know what they all got up to. But, I mean, yeah, like, it's just one of those things where you're just like, a guy invented a game, the game, eventually became this thing, and, like, you just assume that it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty much it. But,
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much that happens
God.
in between those two things.
And it just really makes you think about just, about turning an idea into a product.
Right.
And just how kind of horrible that is because it was this thing that was just like, hey, this is a cool, fun thing. It's art I made and it's for my friends. And just to see how many people started like slitting each other's throats, I mean, not literally, but
not
just
yet.
like terrible figurative things. Well, yeah, spoiler, towards the end, horrible things happen.
Yeah.
But only from like one person.
Sure, yeah.
So, but just all the terrible back alley, shady, lying, terrible things that people do just to make money off someone else's idea.
Right.
And like it's not even something that's owed to them. They just see like, hey, this ball is rolling. Let me just make this, bring it into my court so I can profit off this. And
right.
people do some terrible, shady things for money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that also, like I kind of brought it up talking about us making art and then selling it and that, but, there is this thing, about art and commerce, like the relationship between the two, and like for you and me, like it's simple, like we do everything ourselves, we sell it ourselves, but like, when you get something, like what Alexey had with Tetris, where it becomes like this corporate thing and like more and more people glom onto it.
Oh yeah.
And
the rights are being sold to various formats and it gets confusing.
Like I was super confused like numerous times about like, okay, who had what where,
who they own the console rights but not the packaging rights, but they do own they can license it out. I don't know. There's just so much to it.
And, and then throughout it all, Alexey is just, this guy.
Yeah.
He's
just still there at the Science Museum.
Right, yeah. And,
not museum, but, Academy, Science Academy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's incredibly interesting. It's very well done. And, like, I'm sure we spoiled most of it here, but, there's still a lot, and it's very entertaining throughout.
I think the only thing we didn't really talk about, and I'm sure we talked about it before, but his art, it's super cartoony.
Yes.
Like, super simplified, but very expressive.
Yeah.
But, the only strange thing, and it didn't bother me as I read it, but when I first saw this book, I flipped through it, and it's black and white with yellow tones.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very strange. I've never seen that before.
Well, I have in Darwin Cook's.
That's true.
Parker graphic novels.
Like, orange and yellow.
Yeah.
It worked okay in this.
It worked okay. There were a couple times where, like, he presents something in yellow only, like no outline.
Right.
And, like, I didn't see it on the page.
Okay.
Like, I had to look, like, 2 or 3 times, because I think there's even one of the section where, like, he shows, like, one of the contracts. And they have their signatures, and the signatures are in yellow.
Yeah.
And I just, like, I glanced over and I was like, well, okay, so he just showed a blank contract. But then, like, the third time I glanced at it, I was like, oh, no, wait.
Oh, yeah.
And part of it is, I'm going blind, but,
And you were reading it by candlelight in your basement.
Yeah. So, I'm going to talk about my absolute 100% favorite thing in this book entirely.
Oh, wow. I'm curious.
And it is not a part of the comic.
Okay.
Not a part of the story. It is on the very last page.
Uh-huh.
Where it has like all the legal information and publishing information and everything like that. There is a small paragraph in which he basically says all of the tools that he used to make this comic.
Oh, wow. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Drawn with a Statler Mars Lumograph 3H and Eagle Chemi-Seal turquoise drawing pencils, 3H and 4H, inked with Pigma Micron size 8, and a Pentel pocket brush. Circles made with a number T105 timely circle templates. Straight lines made with a Staples steel ruler and a Westcott see-through plastic T-square. Lettered using an Ames lettering guide and colored in Photoshop CS5 with a monoprice tablet.
Wow.
That, to me, I think every graphic novel should have something like that.
That would be cool.
Like where the artist tells you his tools.
No, I wonder, was he sponsored by any of those people, or he's just shouting out?
I think he's just shouting out. And like right underneath that is like a little drawing that says "By Art We Live." And the only thing that I really have a problem with this is that he uses microns. Because they're shitty pens.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of microns.
But no, like I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
And I'm on the social media or whatever, and I see people interacting with artists all the time saying like, hey, what do you use to draw or whatever, and they usually, just say, oh, this, that, and the other. I think it was super cool that when I saw that in this book, that like, he's sort of cutting people off in the past from asking that question, or just like wanted to say, hey, this is what I do. Yeah.
Maybe it's because, maybe he's curious about other cartoonists.
Right.
Because I've done that too. Like, I'll look at somebody like Ted McKeever or Sam Keith or somebody that does something that's completely out of my wheelhouse. And I'm like, how do they even make lines like that? Like, I don't even know how you would do that.
Right.
And it's just really cool to when you do see the tools and know the tools.
So yeah, that's it.
Sweet.
Right.
Oh yeah, and we never did say, I don't believe, but First Second published this.
Yep.
They do a lot of great books.
They really do. Yeah.
I think they're one of the most underrated comics publishers.
I agree.
So thanks, First Second, and Box Brown.
And Tetris.
And Alexey,
And Alexey. Yeah. And Hank Reynolds.
Yeah.
Who apparently had a big part in this too.
Right. So many people had a big part of this.
Yeah.
It's like a...
It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Alright, want to take a break?
Sure.
Alrighty.
Want to play some Tetris?
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm going to download it on my phone right now.
I don't blame you.
Because
Welcome back to Gutter Trash. Yellow.
So we played Tetris.
Yeah, we did.
That was fun.
It was. As soon as we took the break, I immediately went to the Play Store and downloaded it for my phone.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we both were just playing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
It was.
That was something early on in the book, too. The guy, somebody mentioned seeing people with calculators,
Right.
like just bored, waiting on trains or whatever, and like having a vision of, like, well, maybe we could have handheld games, and like, I remember those. Do you remember those handheld games that weren't video games? They were just like red squares that were like baseball or football or whatever.
Yep, had a football one.
I loved those things. I liked the baseball better because I've never been a football fan.
Right.
Yeah,
me either.
but or else we wouldn't be doing this right now.
Exactly.
Because as tradition, this
Yep.
is I don't know how many years in a row we've recorded a podcast during the Super Bowl, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I would say for the majority of the years that we've been doing Gutter Trash, we have wound up recording a podcast on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
There's probably one or two we missed, but for the most part, yeah.
But yeah, I did always like those handheld games.
Yeah. I had, I could swear, I think there was like an X-Men one, like Tiger Electronics.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember
those
those.
were super shitty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're just like little, like, LCD screens, like, like basically it's like, the text of a calculator,
Yeah.
like animated
Right.
as like Wolverine or whatever.
Yeah, at least when they were just the red circles for baseball, they weren't trying to make it look like a baseball player and failing. They were just like, okay, this red circle's your baseball player.
Right. I remember, I don't know if you ever had anything like this, but it was this game where it was like this little contraption and there was a screen and you were like a little spaceship.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, there was the joystick.
Yeah.
Like, rocket back and forth. And you press the button to fire at, like, meteors or whatever. And basically it was like a light with, like, a rotating screen behind it.
Right. Yeah, like it was like on a scroll that just kept...
Yeah.
I had a driving game like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember those... Yeah. The technology's gotten so crazy.
I know, right?
Like, I would never... Like I said, I never had a Game Boy or any of the, like, advanced handheld games. So playing Tetris on my phone is, for me, it's like, I just walked into the future. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's weird. Like, it's one of those things, like, as kids, like, when we had visions of the future, with, like, rocket packs and everybody wearing metallic suits,
And the three-breasted lady from Total Recall.
Oh, sure, yeah. Like, I mean, clearly we didn't get that stuff, but like...
I'm still praying for the three-breasted lady.
Well, sure, we all are. One can only hope, yeah. But like, the majority of us all now walk around with $1,000 computers in our pockets.
Right.
And call them phones.
Yeah. And that are all in sync with each other at every moment.
Right, yeah.
Sharing information with each other. And
yeah,
it's weird. I mean, yeah, if you would have described the presence, to me in the 80s or something.
Right.
I would have just been like, that's crazy.
I mean, we all thought like, Dick Tracy, like, video watches would have been like, just fucking ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. And now, we can just go anywhere and watch, somebody get hit in the nuts on YouTube.
Yeah. And what a world.
Right? Or a cartoon from the 60s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
a brave new world.
It is a brave new world.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. What else? Anything fun happening?
Been doing a lot of comic shopping because I'm empty and I'm trying to fill the hole.
Nice.
I visited your other comic rival yesterday.
Well, sure.
And purchased some items there. For some reason, apparently, I've decided that I'm collecting Matt Wagner's Mage series.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Like literally a decision I've made in the last 3 days.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, not a crazy amount, but
No.
enough that'll keep you looking for a little bit.
Yeah, but I was at your store Friday night, and for whatever reason, decided to go through your bundles and your cheap graphic novels, and you guys had a bundle of, I guess, Image put out a reprints series of the first Mage, The Hero Discovered, which I guess they reprinted them like 2 at a time in like a prestige format series. You guys had the first 6 as a bundle for $5, which couldn't pass that up. And I like Matt Wagner.
Oh yeah.
And I've never read Mage, so I figured, well, what the fuck, yeah. And then you mentioned that like that wasn't the complete series, which bugged me. And then I was like, oh fuck, now I actually gotta find things. And,
That's why it was so cheap.
but the real bug up my ass is to try to find the Jack Kirby Captain Victory series from Pacific Comics, and Mavericks only had 1 issue, and so I went to another store to see if they had any more. He only had 1 issue, but while I was there, I was just looking through some stuff, and they had the final 2 issues of the Mage reprint series.
Cool.
So I said, okay, I'll get those, and now I have the whole first series.
Nice.
And so then today, when I was out at the third comic store, they had all but maybe 3 issues of the entire second series, The Hero Defined.
Nice.
So I picked that up, and of course Image is now currently publishing The Hero Denied, which seems weird that he keeps taking like 30-year breaks in between.
Yeah. He's not going to be able to do another series, probably.
Probably not, yeah. And what's weird is that, like, while I was unbagging all the comics, because fuck bags and boards, the very last page of the very last issue of the second Mage series has an ad for The Hero Denied.
Oh, wow.
That came out in 1997.
Wow. So that's like 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess he was planning on doing it sooner.
I guess. Yeah.
That or he just likes to think ahead.
Could be. Yeah.
I have not read anything after the first series, but I thought the first series was really good.
Yeah.
Of course, I read it when I was a teenager, so it was like maybe different than I remember, but I remember it being pretty exciting and different than anything I'd ever read.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty different.
Mm-hmm.
Even now. Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy Matt Wagner.
Yeah, he's good.
I bought a shit ton of Grendels at that 3 for $1 sale. Last month or whatever that was. Yeah. Like not all of them were done by him, but
yeah. It's weird. I actually really liked Grendel Warchild. I think that was by him. Yeah. But my favorite is definitely the Pander Brothers stuff from the 80s, late 80s, I think it was.
Yep.
Those were really good.
They reprinted those in like the early 2000s, and I bought those, and then got rid of them, and then rebought them at that 3 for $1 sale.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And I believe most of Warchild as well.
Right.
And just some other random Grendels that were in there.
Yeah, Warchild was good. Yeah. Plus it had really cool like Simon Bisley covers.
Yeah.
Or some of them at least.
Yeah. And really cool Matt Wagner covers.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty good too.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, it's another thing. Like, yesterday and today while discount comic shopping, I realized that, I really need to go through all my recent purchases and catalog them, because there's a ton of shit that I don't know if I already own or not.
Right, yeah.
And I hate buying doubles. Like,
Yeah.
even when they're cheap, because it's not a thing that I can just like turn around and sell anywhere.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's basically just trash.
Yeah.
That I spent $1 on here.
I've gotten good recently. I was bad at it for a while, but now every time I buy stuff, I update it in my phone because I've got, like, some of it I actually have at, I think it's is it comics? I forget if it's
My comic shop?
no, it's comic database is where I have my,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
But I-
comic book database.
but I also just have a bunch of memos saved in my phone, like,
Right.
need this, buy this, you know.
And your handwritten note that you keep in your wallet.
I don't have those anymore.
Really?
It's all on my phone now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I know, I'm playing Tetris on my phone. I'm watching porn on my phone. It's like everything is my phone now.
Yeah. So there are 3 long boxes over there, and then there's one behind you full of stuff that I have not cataloged.
Oh man, that's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's what it is. Maybe like when I go dollar bin shop, I'm like, okay, I gotta catalog these 4 books when I get home.
Right, yeah. That's an issue for sure.
Sometimes you have upwards of 6, 7 books, maybe.
Yeah.
When you get home from those things.
And I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Well, it was easier when I had a handwritten list because, you know, you just write it down or whatever, but it seems like it takes longer to type it all in, key it in and everything, and spell it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's worth it. Totally worth it.
Yeah.
I've been rereading Valiant comics.
Nice.
I read the first. I have a bunch of Valiant trades, which Valiant trades, if you've never looked at them, are very strange because they're not like issue 1 through 6 of the series. In fact, one of the trades I have is like 6 different titles, just one issue of each, because they were just like rare, hard to find books or whatever. But like my Shadow Man trade that I just read skips the Unity issues.
Sure.
So it's like issue 1, 2, 3, and then like 6 or something.
Because Unity is collected in its own trade.
Unity has its own trade. And I started reading the Harbinger trade, and I was very confused because I started reading it, and I was like, I'm like really positive that this was the first Valiant comic.
Right.
But it just starts out as if you already know all this stuff, and it like starts out after all these exciting things have happened, and they keep referring to them, and I'm like, what did I miss? And then today I was going through some back issue boxes, and I found my Harbinger number 0. And I was like, this is gonna fix it, so I haven't read that yet. But I'm hoping that is like,
it probably doesn't.
because I like, where would have 0, I know that 0 came with the trade, like bagged with it or whatever, but where would that story have been before Harbinger number 1? Because,
Right.
like,
They didn't have online previews or anything like that back then.
and like Harbinger number 1 refers to things that happen, and the opening panel is in the middle of a chase, and I don't think it's like, you know, that type of storytelling where it's like, oh hey, we're gonna throw you into the exciting part and then fill you in, because they never really fill you in, it just kind of goes from there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't know. Maybe it's in number 0. I'll see.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with, like, Dr. Solar and Turok that they can't reprint or anything like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Magnus Robot Fighter.
I don't know, because I have a Magnus trade too.
Yeah. It's weird. I got into sort of a weird online discussion about Valiant on Facebook a couple days ago that even Eric Larson himself piped into.
Nice.
Because I guess basically what happened is Valiant as a publishing group was sold to, like, you know, some corporation. And, like, I didn't read any about it.
Acclaim or something?
No, that happened decades ago.
Oh, I thought you were talking about decades ago.
No, I'm talking about
recently.
Like this past week.
Oh, okay.
Valiant got bought out by someone. And part of the article was that, you know, they basically are claiming that Valiant is, like, you know, the 3rd biggest publisher with over 2,000 characters, that, they're going to, basically exploit as, movies and television or whatever, which they've been trying to do anyway for, the last couple of years.
Right.
So, one of my friends, was basically bringing up, how is it possible that they're the third biggest publisher? And he's got a point.
Yeah.
Cause, and I think that's somehow where Eric Larson came involved. He, posted a listing of, the rankings of the publishers. Marvel is number 1, DC number 2, Image 3, Dark Horse 4. And Valiant was 12 on the list.
Right. I could see maybe third biggest universe.
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Cause people were just now shitting on Valiant, and I'm not a Valiant fan, but also,
you give credit where it's due.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if it's something that I am actually trying, but, I'm trying not to just be completely negative all the time.
There you go.
I mean, I still am. It's not working, but there are attempts there. And I feel there's no need to shit on Valiant.
Right.
They're doing what they're doing. They're fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as, I would say because everybody was arguing that, Image, even if you just look at, universes, shared universe
right.
superhero stuff, people are still saying that would be Image would be number 3, but, that's not their thing anymore.
Yeah.
And
even when they did, it was maybe a dozen titles.
Right? Yeah. But, Jim Lee, fucked off to DC, and Rob Liefeld barely publishes anything anymore,
right.
and when was the last time, anything from Top Cow was, part of Cyberforce
right.
or Witchblade or whatever. And so basically it's just Spawn and Savage Dragon, and they're
right.
just both kind of doing their own things.
Yeah.
And, they're mostly just a publisher of, just a wide variety of different types of comics.
Yeah. It's not been an integrated universe in
right.
a long time.
And it's all creator owned.
Mm-hmm.
The people who make those comics own them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, let's say Valiant, because Dark Horse doesn't have a universe,
right.
at least not anymore.
They just have the Hellboy-verse, maybe,
right? But that's all Mignola,
yeah.
and they don't have, their barbed wire.
Oh yeah, the
Comics
Greatest World.
Yeah, the stuff that they tried in the 90s, but
I liked that stuff. I liked that stuff.
I liked X.
X was great, but I liked all those beginning ones, like Pit Bulls and Mecha and all that stuff. I liked all that.
But, Valiant, though, is all mostly work for hire. I don't think they publish anything that's creator owned. And it's all within their own universe.
Yeah, I believe so.
They don't have, Dr. Solar and then Turok and Magnus were all licensed originally, so they don't have them anymore.
Right.
But, everything else they do, Bloodshot, Archer and Armstrong, Exo Man-O-War, Faith, yeah.
All
So, yeah, as far as that goes, I think they are the number 3.
Yeah. But I could see that.
It is them also stretching truth a little.
Right. Yeah. So why were they contending that they were so big to
just to pump up the hype for
all the movies
sale or whatever? Yeah.
I know. Isn't there an EXO television show coming out or a movie or something?
I'm sure they want it.
Yeah.
I've heard Bloodshot. I've heard Ninja K, as it's now called.
Oh, it's not Ninjak.
It's not Ninjak.
Ninja K.
Yeah.
That sounds so much cooler. I'm in. I like that. Ninja K. Wow.
I'm sure somebody wants to try something with Shadow Man at some points. That seems to be in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, we were both talking about Shadow Man unbeknownst to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those Shadow Man. A lot of the Valiant books from the early 90s, I think, hold up better than any other, at least superhero book from that era that I've tried to reread.
Right.
They're not, amazing, and I would still much rather read, small press or indie stuff from that time period because it's more interesting or creative.
Right.
But the Valiant stuff, I think, holds up pretty well. I mean, some of it was cheesy. Some of the stuff like there was one issue of Shadow Man I read where he's like basically trying to rescue this girl who's been kidnapped by these people that live in the swamp. And, I don't mean like swamp monsters, I mean like just like redneck swamp people. And the dialogue that like the mom is like beating the sons that are like 3 times her size, and she's like, get on up there, and I swear it's like a bad Bugs Bunny cartoon as far as just like characterization, but other than the few things like that, I think it holds up pretty well. So yeah, Valiant. I'm gonna finish reading Shadow Man, then I'm gonna start reading Exo, I believe.
Nice. Exo was always, Shadow Man and Exo were the two that always like appealed to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I never really read any of them.
Was it the Aerosmith crossover that you liked so much?
I did like that so much about Shadow Man, yeah. Yeah. Or are you talking about the Aerosmith crossover with Exo?
That would be amazing. That would be amazing, like their drummer finds the suit or something.
Even when Valiant relaunched a couple of years ago, like I started buying Exo like for a couple issues anyway, just because for whatever reason, like it did appeal to me. Mm-hmm. And I think I even bought a couple of issues of the relaunched Shadow Man when they started doing that.
I've never tried any of the relaunch stuff, but I think didn't Jeff Lemire do some of like the Bloodshots or something?
He did Bloodshot. I think he's still doing Bloodshot.
Is he?
Yeah.
That guy's a busy dude.
Yeah. I think even Matt Kint is involved.
Yeah,
somewhat
that's right.
Too. Yeah. It's weird that both of them,
Yeah. Is it Lemire or Lemire?
I think we've had this discussion every single time we mention him. I go Lemire.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. Lemire.
I fell behind on my Fourth World reading, but picked it back up a couple days ago.
Nice.
Trying to do that. It's not a mandatory thing that I'm trying to read them once a day, but I'd like to read them once a day.
That way you
sometimes can't.
Right. If you keep that momentum going, you'll remember the characters and plot lines and stuff.
Yeah. So. It's weird because like the first issue that I picked up from was an issue of the Jimmy Olsen series, and like I felt really disconnected from it.
Oh, really?
Just, I didn't know because so far the Jimmy Olsen stuff is like my least favorite part of the New World, New God stuff. I didn't know if it was just because like it had been a week since I had last read something.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to get back into that atmosphere.
Yeah. Jack Kirby pretending that he's with the kids. Yeah.
His lingo.
Yeah. He's like 50 years old at the time and trying to talk about kids and their rock music.
Yeah. That's cool. At least he draws it well.
Yeah, that is also well. Yeah, most of it except for Superman and Jimmy Olsen.
Right. Oh yeah. That was no fault of his.
I haven't done much else.
Yeah, comics, man. That's all we need.
Yeah.
In fact, I guess I should pick one.
Sure.
Because there's always an episode around the corner.
Yeah.
So we have to have something to review.
Sure.
So I think, how about, because I just kind of was looking through my pile before I came over here, and I've got a couple good ones. How about, do you want to read Pencilhead by Ted McKeever?
So here's my thing. I've already read it.
Okay.
Like last year.
Right. Well, we don't have to.
Okay.
You have to say the magic word, though.
I don't feel like that should be an official veto because I feel like I even talked about it on the show when I read it, but
I don't think so because I would have said no spoilers because I haven't read it yet.
Okay. Also, I guess I'd have to find where I put them.
I could look through your box here. Just see.
It's not in any of those 4.
Okay. You're gonna start the February year with a veto?
It sounded like you had more than just Pencilhead in mind.
I've got plenty in mind. But I wanna wear down your vetoes.
This is unfair.
Life is unfair.
I guess I'll read Pencilhead again.
Yes. Oh, that's going to make for a great episode, your enthusiasm for the book. I'm guessing you didn't really like Pencilhead that much.
No, I liked Pencilhead a lot. That I'm 99% sure I said on the show when I read it.
Well, yeah, you might have said that, but we didn't actually talk about the actual book, because I haven't read it.
Yeah. So, spoiler, I liked Pencilhead a lot.
Gosh, I hope I like it. I guess we'll find out next time.
You know, maybe I'll dislike it this time. We don't know, I guess. It's been a year, so, you know.
Right. Well, if we don't pick up the show, I'm never going to read it. And I want to read it.
Alright.
It'll just languish in my boxes forever.
Alright, I'll find. Hopefully, I've stored it and listed it somewhere.
Right.
So I can find it easily.
If not, I've got them.
Okay.
So,
alright.
yeah.
Hopefully, I haven't sold them. That happens on occasion. I read something, I sell it. I mean, that's more of a you move, but
right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I have copies readily available.
All right.
I held them in my hands before I came over here.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm rereading Pencilhead.
See, maybe you'll get something new out of it this time.
Hopefully, yeah. It'll probably just make me more depressed because I know how it ends.
Oh, spoiler.
Spoiler.
Can't be as sad as the end of Tetris.
You know what? I did actually kind of tear up towards the end of this book.
Yeah.
Like in a feel-good way. Like, I was happy for Alexey.
Right.
By the end of it.
Yeah.
Despite the horrible things that happened just pages before the end.
Yeah. Some tragedy happens.
Yeah. Hey, alright. That's all. All I know is there's like 7 other Ted McKeever books that I haven't read yet, but,
this one looks more interesting to me than some of his other stuff.
Okay.
Like, what's the other one that we read a couple years ago? Metaphor?
Yeah, that wasn't great.
And he had another one like, something Jesus, Miniature Jesus.
Mondo, something like that. And then there was another one that he did just before Pencilhead. I can't remember. It had like hippo people in it.
Huh.
Like an old man in like a diving suit. What the fuck was the name of that one?
I don't remember that one.
Alright. Yeah, he did like 4 series like that were all like sort of magazine sized, like just before Pencilhead.
Yeah. Those don't sell well usually.
Yeah, well,
to comic readers, I mean.
Well, to Mavericks readers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
One of these days, I'm still going to buy those Ted McKeever library editions that you got for half off.
Yeah. Somebody needs to. The Image ones.
Yeah. It's Eddie Current, Metropole, and
Transit.
Yeah. Someday.
Sweet. They'll be there. Don't worry.
Yep. All right, Pencilhead. Let's go watch the Super Balls.
See, I wear my only sports shirt today. I'm wearing my Curtains Cubs shirt.
It's weird. When I was out today, I was wearing my Cubs hat.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'm wearing my Ramon shirt. I was really confusing people.
As you
shopping for comics, wearing punk shirts and baseball caps.
That's a good way to be left alone.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to talk to that guy.
Yep. Alrighty. Goodbye, folks.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Gutter Trash. You can subscribe to the show from guttertrash.net or from iTunes and leave us a review. Visit guttertrash.net for email information and for other podcasts and websites in the Gutter Trash Network. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.